So I asked them that how many times I told you all that you are the real self. And how many times you realized, even at the mental level, that you are the real self. Not even a single time. But when I say, "Oh, Dennis, how are you?" you instantly reply. "How are you, Sasha?" you instantly reply. So, mind has a confirmation that you are Sasha, you are Dennis, you are Sergey, you are Ilya, you are. University awards you a PhD degree, then you write Michael PhD. You believe it, you trust it, you recognize it, and you promote it. And I have been saying you that you are the real self. Why don't you promote it? Why
It
don't
was
you?
no profit.
Uh,
You
You
come
come
from
from
this,
this,
you
you
have
have
no
no
profit.
profit.
yes, and the Eastern wisdom says it brings an end to the suffering once and for all. This is the biggest profit. That is why we have 3,000 texts. That is why every teacher has its own expression. They go on teaching and teaching, and they go on giving a different interpretation of the same principles. And they started looking at each other. They had a good smile. I said, that is why what is most important is listening and learning. So you are listening and learning, and is going to happen? The mind, the lane number one, is going to drop completely. Lane number two is intellect, where we put the knowledge, where we put the logic, where we put the argument. So we put the reasoning in order to clear the doubts. There are interpretational doubts. There are doubts pertaining to, am I the real self? So the masters have uh, explained there is nothing else but this. Whether you say real self, we express the real self at the individual level, the supreme self or the supreme consciousness at the universal level. It is the same. There is no difference between them. And it is one existence. It is of the nature of consciousness. Well, if it is the nature of the consciousness, then the master asks that are you worshipping any god and goddesses outside that your mind and sense organ perceive? So ask yourself whether that god is conscious or matter. If it is matter, it does not make any sense. Why you are worshipping matter? And if it is consciousness, then the consciousness is in you. So the God is in you. Look at the very clarity is there. Clarity is there. So you can ask another question. Do we know the existence? Well, if you say yes, then answer, is it a matter? If it is a matter, then why and how are living beings there? And if it is a living being, then what happens to the matter? Because matter is also a part of the existence. So, what is the answer to that question? So, science has given a very rough answer, simple answer. Science says that this matter underwent a very constant change, and ultimately it created a complex matter. That complex matter is protoplasm. One unit of protoplasm is known as the cell, and the cell is a living being, and ultimately all these cells combine together. They have the tissues, then the organs, and the system, and that is how the living beings were created. So, do you want to say that life was present in the matter, it evolved? Answer is yes. I could not see that existence, that consciousness in the matter. Because of the life, I could see some indications of the consciousness. In primitive animals, and then in some plants, we see that they also respond to the sensations. So the mind was also there. And then the mind was fully developed in human being. So we have a free intellect and the free will. We can receive the knowledge, we can retain the knowledge, we can realize the knowledge. That is how we come to a conclusion that the entire existence, whether matter or living being or non living being, has only one existence, that is consciousness, and that is the unitary format our masters have realized and experienced. I may have a different name and the shape and the form and the age and the color. This is a projection over the consciousness. Otherwise, there is no difference. Difference is at the level of manifestation, not the difference at the level of existence. So that is what the unitary format. So those who have been contemplating, who are born by birth, they are gifted with the higher level of awareness because of the past impression. I'm not going there, but so there are people. Vivekananda did everything at the age of 32. He died at the age of 32. Shankaracharya died at the age of 37. And Buddha lived so long, but ultimately he continued teaching for more than 45 years. So, because of the past impression, and then we will explain that past impression later, they realize the same truth, the same existence. By a different name, you say emptiness, you say real self, you say pure consciousness, but ultimately they arrive at one realization that there is an existence, there is a pure consciousness, and that pure consciousness is the unitary format, one existence that created all the different manifestations. So when we reach to that state in the mind is what the realization is. The moment you see the living being and the non living being, the different living species, the different species of the matter, your perception has completely changed. Perception means what? Perception means knowledge. What is the knowledge? Knowledge is just awareness. Without awareness, you don't have any knowledge. So your perception has changed. don't see any difference, any duality, any limitation at a deeper level. We all are one supreme consciousness. We will talk later what exactly is the nature and the properties of that consciousness, how that consciousness manifests as a god and goddesses of name and the form. Well, when we do not pick up this essence, and the mind has lot of doubts, matter and the life, mosquito and my human body, elephant, universe, solar system, what happens to that? So when we have those confusions, we go for binary format. We say one is consciousness and other is matter. For the sake of understanding. It is only for the sake of understanding. The way we understand the science, I have also seen the picture of a circle, and in the center there is a nucleus, there is a proton and the neutron, and the electron vibrates. So, it is a symbolic, it is a metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, it is not like that. So we use the metaphor, just think matter is inert, consciousness is not. Consciousness cannot be divided, matter can be divided. So whether your body is a matter, my body is a matter. So because of different projections, I have a different name in the form. So again, the same question comes. If I see that the god and goddesses are higher than me, so it means they have to be conscious. Whatever I perceive in the world is matter. So the question of temple and the churches and other religious places and the priest does not work here. I should have a clear understanding. I am scared, I'm a God fearing person. No, you are scared of yourself. There is no, God does not give any fear. If the God is the supreme, is higher than us, then why the God should scare us? Why the God give us the fear? You see, the entire humanity, human civilization, we use the word God and we say, I am a God fearing person. Why you should fear the God? So we have fear, we have demand from the God, we have fear for the God, we have demand from the God, and then we do all kinds of practices. It has its value, that we will talk later. But at present, the binary format, matter and consciousness. So, should I explore my nature outside in the matter, or should I explore my true nature within me? The answer is obvious that I have to explore myself within. I have not to explore anything outside. But yes, I will see what are the doubts, what are the challenges the mind is facing in terms of the doubt, in terms of the interpretation, in terms of fear, in terms of anxiety. I love one matter. What is that matter? That matter is a dollar, that matter is a car, that matter is a cloth, because I feel matter contains happiness. Happiness is a conscious experience, matter is unconscious. How dare you claim that matter gives you the happiness? No, no, but my experience is there that when I eat the food I like, which is a matter, it gives me happiness. Really? So, happiness is the result of and of an hesitation to eat a particular food. Your mind has a craving, you have a desire, and because of that craving and the desire, your mind is wants to possess, own that matter. The moment you feel that you have owned and possessed that matter, you are using that matter, the agitation in the mind calms down, which you feel is a pleasure and happiness. The pleasure does not contain in the any matter in the world. So with that clarity we understand we want to make a journey of the real self. Even in science we have a hypothesis. So we have a hypothesis. We have a hypothesis. And then we have another way that, okay, you feel that God is there, yes. You have a strong, blind belief. Well, no problem. No problem. We will continue with that. So you feel that the God is above you, yes. Then you are an individual. God created you, yes. And then there is a world outside, yes. So there are three bases. So it's a triangular format. Fundamentally, we have to resolve these triangular format into a unitary format. That is what the awakening and realization. On the journey, you may get lot of extraordinary powers, clairvoyance, clairaudience. You may get, you may not get. But on the journey. But ultimate realization is that there is only one consciousness. The entire world that appears true is a delusion. You start with the delusion that you are separate from the world. Find out how you are separate from the world. This body, mind, breath, intellect, ego is all matter. How do you see that you are separate from the world outside? You are a part of that existence. So who says that you are different? My ego says. That is how I separate myself from the rest of the world. So then we will explore what is that ego that creates an individual consciousness. That is only a reflected consciousness. It is an I thought only that separates you from the rest of the world. I claim that the matter that I cook in the kitchen is separate from me. The same matter goes into my body. It maintains the body. How do you see they are separate? Same matter, same food. So when the mind lives in ignorance, then it causes lot of challenges in our day-to-day life. So my master used to say that you have to contemplate and reflect on one problem that is being faced by every person in this world. What we want, we do not get it. What we get it, we do not like it. What we like, it does not remain forever. What we want, we do not get it. What we get, we do not like it. There is always some confusion. And I should have been married to Miss Universe and everything is okay, but her nose or his nose is not like the Miss Universe. Simple. The mind always has a doubt. You do anything. No, he or she gives me all kinds of pleasure, but his level or her level of awareness does not match me. You will find millions of differences. You are not happy. What we want, we do not get it. We are looking from another angle. What we get, we do not like it. What we get. So I had a wonderful woman. She has been attending all the sessions. So she said, I'm not going to attend you the sessions for 2 weeks because I'm going on a renovation of my kitchen. She spent $20,000 to renovate the kitchen. So obviously, what we get, we don't like. So let me change it. So after a few years, again, I have to spend because I have the money. So where to spend? She should have given to me. So it's okay, it's a part of the game. And what we like, it does not remain forever. I liked the kitchen 10 years ago, but now I don't like it, so it does not remain forever. So, what is happening in my mind? I have to analyze it. I'm carefully speaking, understand it. Simple principle in science also works. I see the water in the mirage, but when I analyze, that water disappears. I see the blueness in the sky, but when I analyze, it disappears. It disappears in my mind. So I have totally a new perception. That is what I was talking about. So I have totally a new perception now. When I look at the sky, I see the blue color, but still my perception is different now because I have the right knowledge. So that is what we say that we raise our level of awareness in meditation. That we can do without practice, by understanding. Mirage water. Now I see it's a desert place, and when I'm driving, I see the sun and the sand together has created a very shining, which appears as a water, but I have a clear perception there is no water. There is no water. Can I see the entire world as a delusion? Yes. So I have a unitary awareness. Only one consciousness is present everywhere. In the transactional world, I talk to you. For a transactional world, I am a teacher. You are a seeker. But otherwise, that constant awareness of oneness is maintained. You live totally in a different perception, even while living your personal life, professional life, social life. So when you realize there is only one reality, one consciousness, now analyze this. What we want, we do not get. When I realize there is only one consciousness, that question dissolves. It doesn't mean that you are not living a professional life. What I said, what we want, we do not get. What we get, we do not like it. That question does not. So, mind has resolved this problem. There is no duality at all. There is no conflict and there is no confusion. And what we like, it doesn't remain forever. Our liking and disliking is based on the desire, preferences, prejudices, delusion, greed, jealousy. But now the mind does not. Mind is not attracted with these ideas and the thoughts, so there is one consciousness. So we do not fight with rati, tripti, and tushti. We do not control anything. Through our clear understanding, we realize it is a delusion. Rati, Sensual pleasure is a delusion. Tripti, satisfaction by any object or an event or a situation outside, is a delusion. And tushti, the sense of satisfaction because of lot of possessions, is nothing but a delusion. You send the money today and tomorrow I am no more. But I have an idea that when you send the money, I will be satisfied and happy. So I have linking that you need to contemplate again and again. What we want, if it is clear what I want, there is a clarity. You have screened through Viveka and Vairagya. No problem. You have not done so, so ignorance is there, and that you will never be happy. What you want, you don't get it. The mind will continue to complain. What we get, we don't like. There is always likes and dislikes in the mind until the mind is transformed, until the mind becomes totally pure. It will constantly. So you work with the likes and dislikes, with the preferences, but it does not touch you inside. So you don't have any level of ignorance because you see they all are manifestations of one consciousness. What we get, what we like, it does not remain forever. You can pick up, you can pick up what you cooked in the kitchen last week, it is not there. What clothes you were wearing few years ago, what car you had, what kind of a body and the strength that you had 10 years ago, which is not there. It does not remain. And that is why I asked the question yesterday that, Dennis, how are you? Yes, I'm fine, sir. Thank you. Okay, so you know you 100% that you are Dennis, you are Sergey, you are Sasha, but you don't know your real self. Why? Because of Rati, Tripti, and Tushti. Why? Because what we want, we don't get it. So mind is always engaged in getting what I want, and that want is never fulfilled. That is why the mind is wandering. Tell the mind that it is enough is enough. Do I have enough? The basic needs are there. I am able to live happily. Yes, finished. Mind, don't demand. What we get, we don't like. Am I aware of the five sense organs? The existence has given me an ability, gifted the five sense organs. Existence has gifted me the free intellect. Existence has gifted me the human body. What we get, we don't like. We are frustrated. Even when the intellect is free, when the mind is frustrated, my intellect can think here is a problem and here is a solution. I don't find the solution. So the mind becomes impure. And the impure mind is not going to help us at all. We are doing the introductory sessions and then we will directly pick up uh, the topic number one. So I'm just preparing a background so that I can refer these information, these knowledge, so that we can instantly catch it, we can instantly understand it. All kinds of food for pleasure. This mind has constant hesitation to get the food that we like because the pleasure, the false sense of the pleasure is always hidden into it. So it is not the food for survival, but the food for tripti. All kinds of possessions for pleasure. Let me have all the possessions minus pleasure. Then you use these objects for the sake of utility. Use it, enjoy it. So you enjoy the mirage water, which is a delusion. So you also enjoy all the objects of the world. Who cares? Enjoy it. No problem. That was the essence of the Tantra when we talk of the Tantra yoga and having a sensual pleasure. You are totally detached. So the Tripti, Tushti is not Tushti, and then Rati, all kinds of those pleasures are. So you live into that awareness. So that is why last time we covered Tripti, Tushti, and Rati. Tripti and Tushti should be changed to, by knowledge, changed to Yukti, Anubhuti. Yes, Yukti, Anubhuti, and Mukti. So Yukti means that I analyze closely. Analyze means the manan, contemplation and reflection. The way I have analyzed mirage water, now I see the mirage water. Anubhuti, experience is one experience. I see the mirage water through my sense organs and the mind. Second Anubhuti, it is not there. It's a delusion. So the masters coined the idea that what do you mean? I see, I have an experience. So do I see you? I also see you through the same sense organs in the mind. So your name and the form, is it a delusion? Question mark, big question mark. Look at the extraordinary way to analyze the world, to reach to one consciousness. Oh, is that, my goodness, mirage water, blueness of the sky. Even while walking in the late in the evening, I see the snake projected over the rope. I project wife on a girl, or I project a husband on a girl. I project daughter on another girl. What is the difference between the two girls? One is projected as a wife. Why I projected as a wife? Rati, Tripti, and Tushti. So I have to analyze it. So when I analyze it, then I see these names and the forms. Are they really delusion? Are they really delusion, or there is a reality? What is the reality in the daughter? Is she a girl first or a daughter first? What is the reality behind the wife and the girl? Is she a girl first or a daughter or a wife first? What is the reality behind a husband? Is the husband first or a man first? And then we go on analyzing, is the man first or the individual consciousness which has an I thought? So what is it? I'm just giving a blueprint. Then I thought it is a thought. Thought is a matter. So I become conscious of the I thought and therefore I am. So we go on analyzing and ultimately we find that is the process of yukti. So here one group of the masters says, and both agree, all groups of masters, but question and answer goes on in this text with reference to one master says, without doing the practice, you cannot realize the real self. So then the master overrules the objection. You are doing an action, or your body, mind, breath, intellect, and ego are performing an action. So if you claim that you are the body and you are performing an action, you are already in a delusion. So we analyze and move into a higher and higher awareness. That higher awareness is nothing but the perception, anubhuti, my experience here and now. First, I see the girl as a wife. Now I see the girl as a girl. Then I see that I differentiate that girl based on some body parts. Then I look back into my sense of pleasure coming from the mind and gradually analyzing. Ultimately, I see that name and the form is nothing but the delusion, that individuality is nothing but the part of the ego. When I drop this, I find there is only one consciousness pervading. At that moment, I don't want to go there, but I tell you. So when you live into that perception, then people say mind reading, people read the mind of others. Because now you don't see the difference between your body and their body in that state. It's one consciousness that manifests the mind. It is not two mind, it is only one mind. You simply remain aware. So that is, so Rati, Trupti, and Tushti has to be, they naturally transform by knowledge into Yukti. Then Yukti results into Anubhuti, that is perception, your experience. And that perception of unitary perception of one consciousness is the subjective reality. It is the real self at the individual level, and it is the supreme consciousness or the highest God at the universal level. So, when we have that clarity, then ask your mind, what is the ultimate goal in the human life? I'm ignorant of that supreme consciousness which dwells here. That should be the goal of my life. Why it should be the goal of my life? Because it is of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. I will answer that question. That is also very important. You raised a question when I gave an example of the dentist because I don't see the profit. The entire Eastern wisdom makes it very clear that what is the profit. And we don't believe it. I give you one example, simple example. What is the goal? Okay, when I realize that I am the real self, what will happen? It will bring an end to all suffering. Is it not the highest benefit that you get? But the mind does not stay there. Come on. I heard you. Mind does not stay there. Mind says, come on, you are talking. I believe you, I love you, I respect you. That's why I'm listening. Can you bring an end to all the suffering? I'm bringing an end to the suffering. I am hungry, then I pay the money and I eat the food. I go for a pleasure and then I get the pleasure. Okay, continue speaking on because the mind somewhere deep inside has a doubt.
Yes,
Yes,
because
because
it
it
looks
looks
that
that
you
you
destroy
destroy
all
all
suffering,
suffering,
but
but
you
you
also
also
destroy
destroy
all
all
pleasure.
pleasure.
Yes, but I have already explained you the pleasure. Pleasure is an absence of hesitation in the mind. I
Yes.
want to eat pasta. So mind is already agitated to have a desire to eat pasta. So All pleasure is nothing but an absence of hesitation in the mind. So the master goes on explaining. And one time the mind goes in for contemplation, reflection, realizes you are there. So 90% of our suffering disappears and dissolves by listening these principles when the mind is ready. Now see another issue. What a great logic in the reasoning. So your goal of life is permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom. Yes. How you get it? By realizing what is your real self, who am I, what is the nature of the world, and what is the supreme consciousness. Great. So now that is the goal of your life. Now, what you have made goals of life to have $10 billion, but the $1 billion does not contain happiness. So they may be a good means, they are not the goals. Your wife or a husband may be a means, but they are not the goal. When you make the goal, I will marry, then I will be happy. How many people who got married are happy? One girl in the yesterday's session, she told me, "Sir, you have spoken so many times, so I decided not to marry." I say, "I never meant it." My goodness. I said, "You misunderstand me." You misunderstand me. Do you mean that I got married, I'm unhappy? What do you mean? So I'm confused. I have lot of urges and to seek the sensual pleasure because you told me. So I decided not to marry. I said, that is why you are suffering. So then she wrote to me, should I marry? I said, I'm already married, so there is no chance here. Chance? So why you are asking this question? So this is a misunderstanding. Goals as a means and a means as a goals. This causes the return of rati, trapti and tushti. Do you see the relationship? I'm just establishing a relationship. So when means are the goals, what are the goals? I should have a big house. How many? 5,000 square feet. So, okay, when you are sleeping, you stretch your body for 4,000 square feet. You should have it. If you have the resources, you must have it.
Question
Question
is
is
not
not
correct.
correct.
The
The
question
question
should
should
be,
be,
if I
if I
will be
will be
married,
married,
how
how
have
have
to
to
I
I
act
act
to
to
reach
reach
the
the
real
real
self?
self?
That is the way. It means that every opportunity, every person in my life I meet, I talk, I interact, every situation should be aimed at finding my real self. So that is the goal of life. Goals should not change to the means, and means should not change to the goals. You forget about rati, tripti, and tushti. You forget about yukti, anubhuti, and mukti. You just maintain your awareness. Am I acting towards the goal of life? And the goal of life is clear in my head. You will never have any sense of anxiety living a professional life, living a social life, living a family life. That demand is not there. I demand happiness from the wealth. I demand happiness from the opposite sex. I demand happiness from the food. That is absent. So when that is absent, that begins the journey of Asato Ma Satgamaya. These Shanti mantras in the Upanishad, they placed in the very beginning. They said if you understand the Shanti mantra, you have understood the entire Upanishad. And if you have not understood the Shanti mantra, even repeating the entire Upanishad that contains hundreds of pages will not make any sense. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityur ma amritangamaya. Very beautiful, you just live into that through your contemplation. You're talking to your honey, Asato ma satgamaya is vibrating inside your head. So what is going to happen? That falsehood created in ignorance in the mind that she is or he is my property disappears. You're happy. You're not seeking happiness, you are already happy. But if the desire is there, then hesitation is there, and this mind wants to bring an end to the hesitation, which I claim is the pleasure. Once that is clear in your head, why the mind will wander? So, this master says that when you have a clarity of understanding, do you say, I am Michael, I am Michael, I am Michael because your name is Michael? You don't say it, you know it. There is a clarity, there is no doubt about it. So, the mind is not going anywhere. So, I should have that clarity. If the clarity is not there, contemplate again. Again, the doubt comes, contemplate again. So, this master says, don't do the practice, it will not work. You are practicing without having a right understanding. So that you are doing practice for 50 years, it will not happen. The instinctual, habitual, sensual responses created in the mind can only be removed by understanding. Otherwise, you are breathing and chanting the mantra, so the mantra will mix up with the sensuality. And it happens. It results into hallucination. And the hallucination gives you blue color, violet color. Why don't you see the blue and violet color with eyes open? Why you want to see in the after closing the eyes? Don't you see it's a hallucination? Don't you realize it? Why don't you recognize it? You are on a journey to find the real self, and you find the real self in a violet color. This master is very tough. He says, no, you explain to me. So ultimately, the knowledge. Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya. We have to remove the ignorance step by step when we understand, when we are committed that the knowledge only can remove the ignorance. Action, opposite of action is no action. Opposite of ignorance is knowledge. So now you have four factors. You have ignorance, you have knowledge, you have action, you have inaction. So can you combine action with the ignorance? No. Can you combine action with the knowledge? No. They work in a different direction. Action is always defective. Why? It is created by the ego. Action depends on many factors. Many factors. I will go to your house and I will meet you, and then mind create projected, then you will respect me, you will offer the food, and when I come to your house, you offer me nothing, then I get upset. Action has many factors, possibilities. Action falls into possibilities, probability. Every action, any action. Knowledge is knowledge. You are Michael, so you are Michael. Finished. There is no doubt. So, what is the ignorance? Misunderstanding, error in perception, wrong notion. So, if I remove all of them, I land up with the knowledge. Knowledge depends on itself, knowledge does not depend on other factors. Knowledge does not depend on other factors. If you are Michael, you will remain Michael. All the people will recognize you by the name Michael. That is the power of knowledge. We don't realize it. Okay. So Eastern wisdom is a means of knowledge. The moment my eyes is a means of knowledge, means, instrument of knowledge to see you. Same way, the Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge that perceives the real self. Mind and sense organ will not work here, and that we are going to understand. Then there is a doubt that, why Eastern wisdom only? I told you one doctor is very learned, very intelligent, and she told me you always refer the teachings of the master. I said I have to. There is a way that people don't refer these principles and they live in hallucinations and imagination. I don't want to live in hallucination and imagination. So okay. But mindfulness is nothingness. I said you have already believed it. So what should I say? From where I should start? But can you tell me, my dear friend, you are a professor, you are teaching medicine in a college. Today, when you start teaching your students, don't bring any past information that you have learned and then teach medicine. She is so intelligent, she is a genius, but she did not agree this reasoning. So when you don't agree this reasoning, which is going to bring the clarity, then she left me. I said, that's very good, that's a part of the game. So, what our masters have done, when we say 6,000 years old tradition, always repeat for the sake that there are 3,000 texts and there are 3,000 masters. So, every text is a one unique expression of the same reality in a different way, depending on the group of students they received. And then they explained, expressed, elaborated again and again. So, what it means? Our friend, you know the name, our friend always raised the doubt 3 weeks ago that the Buddha is different and Krishna is different. Krishna ordered for a violence, Buddha believes in non violence. You got a call from both of them. Very good. You first you understand the principle. You got a call, and no, it is not that. Buddha and the Krishna taught the same thing to have a clear understanding, to analyze their principles, you will reach to the same. Every time we find a new master, a new expression, a new way to explain the same thing. But look at the science. Science always changes. So there is a new fashion has come up on the Google, on the internet. Science says if you eat pasta, you will live longer. So they always add science says.
It's
It's
advertisement.
advertisement.
Isn't it right? We don't have that advertisement. We don't have. That is the reason we should. One more thing that is very important to understand, that Eastern wisdom deals with every topic. It deals with an agreement, it deals with the disagreement, it deals with the simple principle, then it explains and elaborate, then it gives a new ideas and a perspective to understand one reality. What we say, how science says one human body. We say no, we have three bodies. That makes our understanding clear that why I am born as a human being. What are the three bodies in relationship to my thoughts and ideas, problems and the pain and the pleasure, how it happens. And then they went deeper. Panchkosha Viveka. We have the five sheet to make us clarity. You are clear, drop five bodies, drop these three bodies, you are living into the same awakened state. You need not to work. As a teacher, I should study and make people understand. But there are many people. I met a lot of masters in the Himalayas. They don't have a power of expression. They don't want. They don't have it, they don't want. That is why they don't have it. They told me, "Oh, we are not going down. I'm very happy living into that state, eating 2 meals a day. That's enough." And they have been living for years and years. Why should I go out down in the society? That is their logic, and that logic is also good. But other masters said that why shouldn't I go down and express so that other peoples are also benefited, like Buddha? Buddha said, no, I will take rebirth as many times until every human race is liberated. Look at it. So that approach does not mean that they are different. No. So, once we understand that part, then we will pick up with clarity. What we pick up with the clarity? That doubt must be clear in the very beginning. I repeated last time also, but I'll repeat again and again. There will be lot of repetition, but in a different context, as this master explains. I think I explained you. I go to the restroom. So this is a statement. This is a thought. Thought contains the knowledge. And every action has some desire in the mind to be fulfilled. Every action, whether I know it or I don't know it. So why I'm going to the restroom? Result, empty the bladder. Why I want to empty the bladder? End of suffering. So who is going? I. One factor. What is the result? Empty the bladder. And what is the subject? Restroom. Very clear. I know you. I am going to the office. I will drive my car. I'm going to the restaurant. I know my house. You pick up any thought. It contains these three factors. From where this master starts the journey. And that three factors and their connection. I should be very clear about connection. I'm going to the restroom. I'm going to the restroom not to eat pasta. Very clear. So connection is very clear. Do you see the connection is very clear? I with the restroom. I with the result. And the subject matter, that is the restroom. I have to empty the bladder in the restroom, not in the kitchen. These three factors are essential. If you are 100% clear, journey takes off very fast. So gradually, that is the first topic. But the way he introduces the topic, it is amazing. It is amazing. No master has ever. Now see that last point that I'm making, but I will clarify that. No master, even if I say including Krishna and the Buddha, has ever dealt with these three factors in such a clarity. Why that clarity? Because we are so much rational, we have living in a scientific age. That is why we see that Krishna is not as clear as he is. So it is because of my mind. So he came down to the level, he wrote this text 150 years ago, 120 years ago. So 120, so he might have felt the need of it. But the way he has written it, it is amazing because he has read all the 3,000 texts so fast. And he wrote in a Hindi language too. Normally people write in Sanskrit language. He was a great master of Sanskrit. So he said, no, I'm going to write in Hindi. So there was another master who translated the entire text into Sanskrit. So both the texts are famous, but in the name of this master. So ultimate conclusion, all the three, Rati, Tripti, Tushti, Yukti, Mukti, Yukti, Anubhuti and Mukti. Then I came down to you just examine and maintain your awareness. The moment the mind has a thought, find out the three factors and their connection. You see, the mind picks up that connection. I'm hungry. I go to the kitchen. I in the kitchen. Problem, hunger. Food, kitchen. See the connection. See the connection. So these three connections, first, if the connections are made rightly, correctly, then my action with more or less is right. And then I can continue the journey. So these are the three factors, and connection of all the three factors alternatively is known as the four connections. So there he starts the journey. But before that, we should have a clarity. We should have a clarity of these principles.